G'day everyone, and welcome to episode 12 of the Risky Rollers podcast. I'm Dalton, and I'm joined by Locky.
Wow, 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 wow. Wow, 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 wow.
And by the OG outlaw himself, returning for the first time.
Yeah.
Oh, for the second time.
Returning
Lawrence.
for the first time.
The first returning guest.
I'm back.
But the second time he's on the podcast, it's Lawrence.
What's up, guys?
It's good to have you here again, mate.
Of course. Thank you, bros.
I think you would be returning for the first time. That's
I know
still
what I'm
correct,
talking about.
right? Yeah,
it is.
Yeah.
Because you're returning from the first time would be your second time.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. All right. English. Woo.
I knew what I was saying. It's fine.
Yeah.
So, we did actually have a Black Templars episode planned for this week with Icon. We're going to go right over the new book and some of the new rules and lists and things. But something big's happened this week
Oh, yeah.
that we all agree is a little more urgent than shoddy list writing for Black Templars.
And a mediocre book at best.
All right. Let's keep the hot takes for next week. So Games Workshop has gone and released what they're calling the Balance Dataslate.
Oh, yeah.
Which they have promised is going to be a quarterly release. Although with their history of editing their own posts and promises, we are not sure how certain that is. But if it is, then that promises to be a very good thing for the game.
And based on how this is, I mean,
It's a bomb.
yeah. It's and not a bad bomb. This is like a little fat kid on a 10-meter diving board kind of bomb. Like everyone's getting wet. Like it's good.
Yeah.
It's good.
So I think we're all excited by this. I know I'm excited by this. You and I were talking about this earlier, Locky, and it's changed your outlook on really coming back to the game.
100%. I mean, I don't know if I expressed it much in some of our previous podcasts, but I feel like it was there were aspects of the game that were just getting a bit ridiculous with linear power, and essentially the design of the game in general just was starting to go a little bit out of control. And this is not a new opinion. This is very common, but it was getting to the point where, and I think I said this when we were talking about on our meta episode with you, Lawrence, actually, where, if I rolled up to a table, obviously not in a tournament setting, but and had to face like the speed whale with all the flyers or crazy admech, I'd be like, I'm not playing you, because what's the point, right? It's just not fun. You just know what's going to happen.
Unless that's something you're prepared to face and you're going into it with that mindset, it's no longer fun. Unless you're going into it with the mindset of this is going to be a challenge and I'm going to enjoy it for the challenge that it is, it's not fun.
Yeah, exactly.
Even if you go into it with that,
it's still not fun because it's
a challenge has to be something within reach.
Exactly.
It can't be.
It's stacked against you
can't
so
be like,
hard.
oh,
yeah.
Like with the speed wire and the current stats for playing against it. If you don't get turn one, it's not a challenge.
You're gone.
Well, what's the stats? It's something like 500 with four. So
with all the games they've done, it's with the orc win rate is if they go first like 90%.
Yeah, it's like 92 or something, right? It's crazy.
I think it's either 89 or 92.
Yeah,
and then their win rate if they go second is still like 69%.
Yeah, it's still not
like. Which the drop is huge. So if they go second, you're like, all right, there might be a game here if I've also brought one of the best lists. But
and them a good player, right? And a top tier player. Yeah. It's not like if you imagine that was your first tournament experience, and you just happen to pair with someone with that list, you'd be like, oh, he's 500.
Imagine little Timmy rocking up with his freshly painted, Tau mecha army. Like I'm gonna go to this tournament and have a grand old time. And he shows up and he gets on the table and just 5 straight lists. Orcs.
And then
loses every game.
And the last one's like Chikari or something. And you're like, whatever.
Yeah,
bro.
Chikari loses the game turn 2. Well, great.
Hey, I survived more than a turn. No, so like, yeah.
So look, all these things are issues. It doesn't mean you can't enjoy the game. And we're speaking from a setting where even in our quote unquote casual group, a lot of us are quite competitive. We want to and we enjoy building better lists,
Yeah.
and playing at a more competitive level with each other.
Well, yeah, you could say a higher standard or a higher level. I would say that's also accurate.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't even say a higher standard. It's a different standard. We're comparing and going, we want to play. Our standard is how competitive and how well we play. Not our standard isn't how cool of a story we tell. Or how
No, of course, yeah, true.
And I think it's important to note, and I tried to articulate this to you the other day and messed it up. 40k originally, and to a certain extent still the major thrust of it, is a casual game.
Yes.
And it's, if you want a vehicle to tell epic stories in the 41st millennium...
Well, it's Machine Spirit, right?
It's great. What?
It's Machine Spirit, right? It has a personality. It can tell a story.
Yeah, but like, if you want a okay.
I just derailed your momentum.
Okay.
Like little Machine Spirit Timmy, the rhino. You could like a sitcom about that, like a little animated series.
I love that that's what you took from that too. So I'm saying, if you want, by vehicle, I just mean like something to do it in.
Oh!
Same way that this podcast is a vehicle for us to spew our opinions onto the internet.
Yes.
If you want a vehicle for telling cool stories.
Oh my god, yes. I thought you meant a vehicle who's like a character and tells stories. I was like, well, but you can, because of Machine Spirits. Oh, yes. Yeah. Quality Risky Rollers content right here.
Okay.
Anyway, yes, it is a vehicle. That is more, it's 100% more directed than that. Yeah. I mean, it started as an RPG, right? So, yeah, 100%.
Right, so the rough point was, if that's what you're into 40k for, which I definitely enjoy doing, and we'll do more of it on the channel as well.
And we do, yes.
Then, oh yeah, absolutely. If that's what you're into 40k for, is telling the stories and playing on that side of things, or even just throwing some dice with your mates for a couple of beers on a Friday night, or whatever that is.
Yeah.
Whatever gets you into it. The balance thing is not really an issue. Now, in saying that, it is good for that side of things if the game is more balanced, but the game being unbalanced isn't itself causing a problem.
No. But I mean, we've seen this. We've seen this for. Sorry, we've seen this for. I think the past since 9th edition, and this has not been confirmed or denied by Games Workshop. But my personal opinion is the Games Workshop higher ups have made a significant decision, a conscious decision, to actively involve with the competitive scene of 40k.
Yeah, I'd say even from 8th edition.
Well, yeah, maybe. I think maybe picking up where they left off, because in 8th edition they ran tournaments and stuff as well, right?
No, they never ran them, but from the start of 8th edition, one of their biggest selling points at the start of 8th edition was that they're now playtesting.
Okay. So, okay.
Which they weren't doing before.
Yeah,
for some reason.
I mean, you could argue they didn't do much of that either, but anyway.
Right, yeah. I mean, they still might not. But the point is that that's been one of the things from the start of 8th edition, is that's where the emphasis on getting the competitive side of things up to scratch really came back into it. And 9th is just a continuation of that.
And I think, maybe they just, they shifted up a gear with that. I think they definitely shifted up a gear with that. And this is a direct reflection of that. If you didn't have... And I full wholeheartedly believe this. If you did not have the competitive community screaming at Games Workshop going, fix flyers, fix AgMech, fix Drukhari, fix orcs, this wouldn't exist.
Yeah.
No. And I also want to... And I suppose the point I was making a moment ago was that if there wasn't a competitive community screaming all that, it wouldn't be an issue.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yep, potentially. Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. Of course. Yeah.
I think you're absolutely correct. In the fact that the competitive scene exists is why these balance problems are an issue.
Yeah.
But because the competitive scene exists, that's a scene that GW want to engage with.
Yeah, which is
by
great.
virtue of engaging with that, absolutely.
Yeah.
And by virtue of engaging with that, if you create a more balanced game at a competitive level, the only thing that's going to do is help the casual and the narrative level.
Yeah. Well, it's just full
because it just means that at that point, you can still, they still enjoy the game. You can still play the game and have a grand old time, but you're less likely to accidentally stumble onto a busted list that can't be beaten. So the example I bring up for that would be like the Orc Speedway. Imagine some guy shows up, all right, Mad Max Orcs. That's cool. I've toyed around with that idea for an army for ages. That's awesome. Buys all the buggies, makes a list.
Funnily enough,
rocks up to his narrative event, and then just blitzes everyone because he just happens to have stumbled onto one of the most busted lists in the game. That's not good.
No.
But at the same time, it's not a huge deal for them because they're not playing a competitive thing.
No, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's still a game, right? You still want to compete. And I think that's the differential, is that it's not so much who wins and who loses. It's by how much do you win and by how much do you lose. I think that's where it becomes either a good or a bad thing, right? And okay. Look, I think we've talked about the general ist of what it is. In the description, description for this, you'll see the link for the thing. I mean, if you haven't seen it already, go see it, go read it. We're going to go over all of it anyway now, but you can.
I just wanted to acknowledge before we got started that because I've tried to do so and messed it up in the past. Wanted to acknowledge that there are other ways to play the game, that this is not a huge change for.
Yeah.
And given the way they've set up the game to function off the GT mission pack, if you're playing narrative and casual games and not bothering to keep up with the GT mission pack, which you might not be, there's no reason for you to, none of this is going to matter to you anyway.
Yeah, well, I mean, things like OBSEC and stuff don't even matter in Crusade, right?
Mm.
Right, well, not even Crusade, just if you're playing
a narrative,
without bothering with the GT mission packs, because the chapter approved stuff affects GT missions.
What? So if you
aren't the only missions in the game.
Yeah, well, except the core
book aren't part of the GTA mission pack.
Who actually plays the core rulebook missions?
Well, we don't, but plenty of people do.
Really?
Loads of people do.
Really?
Yeah. That's that casual and narrative side I'm talking about.
Yeah.
They're not going. They don't. They've made the decision that they want to tell cool stories and throw dice and move Space Marines around and have a grand old time.
Well, look,
and they're doing that by not bothering to keep up with the competitive side of things.
For all the people,
and I'd say to a certain extent, that's a great way to play the game.
It is.
You're probably going to get more. You're probably going to get more out of the game as it is doing that than you are by following the competitive scene, because you're not going to be constantly frustrated by the way it works.
Yes.
Well, Lawrence?
No, I mean, of course, a lot of people are still playing those narrative or crusade, but I think all these changes are for all those competitive players, which is, of course, very relevant to us because we play competitive as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think, look, for what we do when we play narrative, make your own rules. I'm saying it now. Yeah. Just make your own rules. That's what we do.
Yeah. House
rules stuff, make stuff whatever you want. Go nuts with it. I know that's not what we're here to talk about, but just as a quick caveat.
Yeah.
Games Workshop gives, if you're playing narrative a lot and you want to make cool stories, Games Workshop look at it as a framework. Yep. Build around that, add to it, do what you want.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
So.
And we've got plenty more of that coming on the channel soon too.
Oh, yes, we do.
Yeah. But, so back to the matter at hand.
Let's you want to kick us off, Dalton?
Yeah. It feels like a rant, but I wasn't really ranting out anything. I was just saying stuff.
It was like a 15-minute rant.
Yeah, I know. Okay. So after that, let's move on to the Balance Dataslate. So we're all agreed that it's a good thing.
Massive.
It's good for the health of the game.
Amazing.
Massive, yes.
They've said it's going to be quarterly, and assuming that is, great. We all did that survey, which I want to point out with a company. Both of these would have been queued up to go at least weeks, if not months in advance. Probably weeks for this one, because it seems quite relevant. This is not a response to the survey. The survey may influence how they plan to present this, but it's not itself a response to it.
Oh, this document was written 3 months ago.
Wouldn't have been 3 months ago, I reckon, because the orcs weren't having that effect 3 months ago.
I think majority of it would have been written, and the orc bit would have been added.
Probably.
I mean, when did AdMech come out?
Could be. Yeah. AdMech came out ages ago.
April?
Maybe not 3 months. Maybe a month. 3 months actually is a bit far.
I think a month. And then finalised a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
A month. It's not a response to the survey. The
survey
definitely may influence how they plan to release them and that kind of stuff. But this itself is not a response to that. Yep. So, with that acknowledged, this is good for the health of the game.
Definitely.
Having regular balance updates that are more than yearly chapter approved or day one patches for codices like FAQs and erratas is a good thing.
Well, this is a game patch.
This is a game patch.
Yes.
And this
And
is
this is the first.
I mean, look.
Now, obviously, if they didn't have to do it, they'd be better.
But you never
they
not.
do.
You never not. Like, look at
Exactly. Yeah.
video games do this.
Yep.
Every three to 4 months. I worked in the games industry. You know, we were doing this constantly. You have to patch stuff all the time. It is a standard in the video games industry.
With something as complex and with as many moving parts as this, you're never going to catch it all before you put it out.
And it's good they're doing it now. How they got along. Now remember, you know, there was a 10+ year hiatus for me with this. How they got this far with the game being so successful for so long without doing this thing, I don't know. I couldn't believe it. I was
they were going downhill very quickly.
I couldn't understand. So
They had to change their CEO and everything. They had to replace them and everything.
they're now kind of implementing. You know, and I'm not bashing on them here, but they're implementing good design philosophy things, listening to the community. I mean, geez, that's what I said in my survey. I was just like, the big thing at the end of it was like, listen to your community, because if nine out of 10,
they're your customers.
9 out of 10
They're the ones
people are
spending money.
saying something, it's probably true,
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter whether you believe it or not. So, this is great for the game. I'm really excited to see more of it.
Yeah.
Let's get into it.
All right, cool. So, with that said, the Balance Dataslate starts off with a universal match play rule. So this does affect match play outside the GTM mission pack, after having said all that.
Yep.
and the rule is thus. When mustering your army for a match play game, it cannot include more than 1 aircraft model if you are playing a combat patrol or incursion-sized game, more than 2 aircraft models if you are playing a strike force-sized game, or more than 3 aircraft models if you are playing an onslaught-sized game.
Give us a TLDR on that quickly.
TLDR, all your birds are shit. Slightly less TLDR, slightly less short. If you're playing 1,000 points or up to,
less, yeah.
you can only include 1 aircraft model, not flyer. That's important to notice. These are models with the aircraft keyword.
And model, not unit either.
Exactly. So for the most part, aircraft are models that have the supersonic or hard to hit rules as well as a hover mode style rule.
Do not all flyers have the aircraft keyword?
No.
Are they not synonymous with each other?
No. The Harridan doesn't. Your Tyranids are flyers but not aircraft. The
Really?
Helldrake
You are
is a flyer that's not an aircraft.
Really?
Yeah, man.
Wow. So I could
it's-
take 4?
But how much is that?
I mean, I can't fit it in
can't.
2,000 points.
You can't.
But yes, you could. So the aircraft are usually the aircraft models that have the aircraft keyword usually have the supersonic or hard to hit rules as well as like a hover mode style rule.
Yeah.
You
No,
can
it does.
like more than one of them.
It does.
Okay.
It has aircraft.
It's your normal ones that don't. It's your Harpy and your Hive Pro and stuff like that don't.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm aware it's some Tyranid models. Tyranids are your army, not mine. I don't know all the.
Sorry,
all the
I'm gonna have to
rules
check
and
this because I have a feeling that anything that is a flyer is also aircraft.
No.
I'm pretty sure
It's
it's
not.
the same.
It's not. And while Locky checks that, I'm going to keep going.
Okay.
And point out that, 1,000 points, up to 1. At 2,000 points, up to 2.
Yep.
And at 3,000 points, or bigger, up to 3. That's it. It's models as well. So your Valkyrie squadrons that you could take as Astra Militarum, no longer can you take up to 9 of them in a game. You're still maxing at 2. 2 models, so it's not units.
Yeah.
Now, Locky, have you checked those data sheets?
Yeah. It doesn't have.
The result is in?
Yeah, the result is in. It just has fly.
Yeah.
It's just like a.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's just a unit that has fly.
Yeah, it's a monster. You can't
There's
get
a distinction
aircraft.
between the flyer battlefield role and the aircraft keyword.
Yeah, right.
Because the Harridan is not a flyer; it's a super heavy.
Yeah. So it's
It's a Lord of War.
It doesn't have a fly is not a keyword either. It's just fly. So it's
Oh.
just
Flyer battlefield role
Yeah.
is different to the aircraft keyword.
Yeah.
The Helldrake from the Chaos book also does not have the aircraft keyword. And it's a
Right. That's cool.
flyer. There may be others, but those are the ones I can think of.
Yep. So, I mean, this is great, right?
This is great for 2 reasons. Do you want to get straight into the first one?
Well, I mean, you just don't see Orc and AdMech oppression, right? Really,
Absolutely.
one of the best things. I mean, look, Dalton and I don't know about you, Lawrence, but we have very strong opinions about aircraft in 40k anyway. Personally, I just don't think they should be in the game. I think that it doesn't match the scale and it doesn't match how it functions game design wise. Mind you, it's just because they haven't nutted out the rules of how they work as flyers or as whatever you want to call them. So, but for what this rule is designed to address, it addresses it perfectly, and there's no argument here that this was done for a specific reason, which was to counter the fact that AdMech flyers, which already had, which this is Scatteraptors or whatever they're called,
Stratoraptors, and the
they had
Fuselab.
ridiculous. What was that?
The Fuselab. The second one is the Fuselab. So
But it's the Stratoraptor that's the real problem, right? That's the one that's got all the
normally,
crazy
right?
shots in
So
there.
normally, all these AdMech players is running this very competitive flyer spam, right? So they run at least 3 Fuselab and 3 Stratoraptors to maximize.
Yeah.
And it's just nuts because when you think of an aircraft, if you don't have the fly keyword, you can't engage with it.
Yes.
So, and you can't move across it. So it can move block you, it can do all these things. And this is where I say, yes, this is a really heavy-handed... Yeah, this is a really heavy-handed rule. But... And they could be more elegantly fixed. It could be more elegantly fixed, better designed, yes. But overall, it's a good fix because of those problems. Now, the only thing that's issue with this that I see is, say, players like Astra Militarum, where their Valkyries are not oppressive, where they might want to run a full drop troop style Scion list. They can't do that now.
Yeah.
Or
So
how it affects Tau and their aircraft. I don't know how that's going to change their codex in January. Maybe they lose the aircraft keyword. I hope they might have some connected design
or
in
maybe
their
some
rules.
examples.
Maybe
they may have come up with a better version of this by then.
Well, unfortunately, my guess is that book has already been printed and is sitting somewhere.
As in the next Balance Dataslate is going to come out in February, if that's to be believed. So I'm hoping they have a better version of this rule by then, because this.
Well, they'll probably errata fix it in January, right?
Well, we're talking about this being done in advance, and this and the Orc changes are probably the most recent things added to it.
Yeah.
So it might very well be, because also interesting. Those are the two things that I have an issue with from a design of the fix perspective.
Yes.
Which is that it's very heavy-handed and very
which I also agree.
It's heavy-handed. It's a bit of a lazy fix for it.
I to be honest, with the heavy-handedness, I think the aircraft one is less bad than the Orc one.
Because I like the result of the aircraft one more, but I still think it's the wrong way to achieve it.
Yes, it is, and it is 100%. So there are some outlying, I guess maybe collateral damage of this, but having said that. Those armies weren't taking those things anyway, so it's it's not like
if you're taking a 9 Valkyrie Aircav guard list,
whatever.
Then you're probably playing it in your local group,
exactly, and you're having fun with it, and
you can turn around to your mate and say, "Look, I know they've done that. Do you mind if I bring them along and we just have a nice time?"
Exactly, and you'd say that, and they would go yes, and if they said no, you'd go, "Well, I don't want to play you anyway."
Right? Yeah.
So I think it's good. It's good.
So as I said, I like the result. The way they got there is a bit heavy-handed and forceful, but the result is a good thing.
Yep. What's next?
Right. So then we move on to faction-specific rebalances.
Every single one of these is absolutely amazing.
Yes.
Actually, the CSM one's a bit meh, but the rest are.
A few of them are a bit meh, but they're good. So. We'll go through these because I think aside from CSM and Orcs, we have players for each of these here. So we'll go through them. We'll read the thing that corresponds to it. We'll give our 2 cents as a player of that army, and then we'll have a bit of discussion around it.
Yeah.
So to start with the Astra Militarum, the Imperial Guard, they have three changes or 3 additions to their rules. So the first one is that you change the save characteristic of Astra Militarum Lehman Russ models to 2+. So that's your Lehman Russ battle tanks and your tank commanders. They all have that keyword. They now have a 2-up save. The second addition is when using the tank orders ability of a regiment tank commander model, you can select one friendly regiment vehicle unit, excluding Titanic units, within 6 inches of that regiment tank commander model, instead of selecting a regiment Lehman Russ unit. Cool. So it's just unrestricting the orders from Lehman Russ models to vehicle models.
Yep.
Good stuff. Then the last addition or change. Each time a regiment unit with the Voice of Command ability issues one of the following orders to a regiment infantry unit, that same order can be issued to one or more other friendly regiment infantry units, excluding officer units, that are within 6 inches of the unit that order was originally issued to. Take aim, first rank fire, second rank fire, bring it down. Forwards for the Emperor, get back in the fight, and fix bayonets. What this means is that when you issue an order to a unit, other units within 6 inches of that unit that got the order can also get the same order.
It's amazing,
cool.
yes.
It's going to be a bit of a weird jank with Voxcasters. And it just makes infantry a bit more useful. You're not going to be paying for as many commanders now.
You know what I wish this had?
Hmm?
I wish this dot point had.
Yep.
Move.
Oh,
It'd be a bit ridiculous then.
Yeah.
Because you're ordering like full platoon levels of stuff then.
But would it really? Because I mean, would you care when the amount of killy and weight of fire stuff that exists out there? You'd be like, fine, whatever.
I mean, I think it probably wouldn't have been busted.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been broken.
But
Would have been
I understand
hilarious.
why they didn't include it.
I know,
It
but I
would've
just
been
mean
pretty
like, here's my 120 guardsmen. Everyone's moving. You're like, ah!
Yeah.
It's how I imagine it would be in real life, right? Like, as in the 40k, they're just like, well, I mean, World War One, right? Like, trenches.
Well, I mean, I like this from a scale perspective because you can now have a platoon commander ordering a platoon. And I like that because I mean, like all my guard that I've painted and I'm planning to paint more of, they're all organized into squads, platoons, companies, and regiments.
Yeah.
I've built the models for that, and I'm building my command structure and my commander models to match that. So I like that I can go, here's my platoon commander who's going to issue first rank fire, second rank fire to this squad, and the 5 other squads in his platoon all in one go.
Yeah,
that's cool.
It's super cool. Correct me if I'm wrong. From the way I understand it, the second dot point, the orders from the tank commander, you can have the plasma one, right, at the back with your manticore, and you're giving him +1 to hit. Because that's what
I believe so.
That's what the tank commander ability is, right?
Yeah, that's what he does.
Give +1 to hit, right?
It's one of them, yeah.
So you can have a manticore hitting on 4s. Sorry, 4s, 2s.
3s. 2. Yes.
2s, right? Because they hit on 3s.
Yeah. They hit on 3s, yeah.
So you have a full payload manticore hitting on 2s.
Yep. Yeah.
And is
good stuff.
Can you give? Is there another tank commander you can give reroll hits? Hit rolls of 1.
Yes, but you can't give it to the same.
Oh no!
You can't issue more than one order to the same.
Okay, but you could have one hitting on 2s and then the other one rerolling ones.
Yep. Yeah, you absolutely.
How is that not awesome?
It's awesome.
It's good. It's also so very. You're spending a lot of points to get one model to a good place.
But
the tank commander's then good in addition. Like
I mean, tank commanders are crazy anyway, right? Like with especially the full plasma loaded out ones can dish out some epic damage.
They're not crazy. Yeah, but if you've got a full plasma one, you want it to be getting closer than where your manticore's sitting.
Yeah, that's true. Well, sorry, I'm not an IG player.
This is a good quality of life change.
Yeah.
The tank orders one. Look, I have slightly fewer opinions on that one just because I don't play IG with a bunch of tanks. I play with a bunch of infantry.
Boo.
Just because that's the way my list is
built
and the way my army's built.
Yep.
But as far as the way I do use tanks, this is cool.
The 2-up save is pretty good.
I can be ordering Sentinel squadrons.
Yeah.
Kind of cool. Sentinels hitting on 3s. Yeah.
With
not
las
bad.
cannons, because you can run. Can you run
Yeah.
squads of
And hunter killers.
what?
Run squads of 3 of them.
Everyone
So
knows.
you
Everyone knows
potentially-
hunter killers miss, so you never take
Yeah, but
them.
if you're shooting 3 of them on 3s,
They'll all miss. Everyone knows that.
they will.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, but if
You could hit them on
but if-
zeros, they would still miss. I don't know how it would happen, but it would happen. The dice
it
would
would, yeah.
explode when you rolled it.
yeah. But look, squad of 3 sentinels, 3 las cannons, and 3 hunter killer missiles, which is my preferred way to run sentinels.
Yep.
Right.
Just
One
like a
of those,
surgical anti-tank kind of unit, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
For the first turn or second turn, whenever that target is
And that's-
there.
and that-
all right. There's your tank commander ordering them to hit on 3s.
Yeah.
There's 6 because hunter killers are las cannons, but 1 shot.
Yes.
There's 6 las cannons going into that target. Bam, that's dead.
And there, you can only take. Can you take the las cannons only on the armored ones, right?
Only the armored ones.
And so that, and
But scout ones, you're doing a different thing with anyway. They shouldn't really be.
they just have the flamer and the chainsaw, yeah.
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 Flamer and chainsaw running in from outflank, chopping things up.
Exactly. So, and they're 4-up save, yeah.
Armored sentinels are
Like 4-up save, 6 wound or something.
4-up save, 6 wounds. and then
T5.
Your scout sentinels are T5, and then your scout sentinels are 5-up save, 6 wounds, T5.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, man. It's. I mean,
I like to run armored sentinels and run.
they're just really
mechanized
lame
infantry.
chickens.
They're the original chickens.
Yeah, the OG chicken.
Chickens.
I like it. I think that's really cool. I think it's really, that could be a really cool turn 1 alpha strike.
Yep.
Because you
And
do
then
you
change-
do the command. It's in your command phase, right?
No, it's in the shooting phase.
It's in the
Guard don't have a command phase.
and they haven't errated that to change that.
No,
Not
they're in the
yet.
shooting phase.
Okay, that's
You
annoying.
issue an order,
That's
you resolve the order, and then you move on.
That's really
So
annoying.
you have to have them near the thing
Yeah,
when you want it to happen.
that really sucks. I wish they would put in a dot point to rectify that, because I imagine that, like, okay, cool, you get turn 1.
Well, you'd need to fix a whole bunch of stuff to make it
Yeah.
work in the command phase.
So I think it
Yeah,
should be
maybe,
done
yeah,
on the
maybe,
codex.
Yeah. And then the final change is Liam and Russ now have a 2-up save. Cool. It's funny the Beyblade doesn't. But 2-up save, alright, it's good. Durability was something they're struggling with in 9th edition. They're still going to struggle with it, but a little bit less.
I mean, you have some crazy durability relics and stuff, though, right?
Not really.
Isn't
Not with the way 9th edition currently sits.
okay?
No.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, everything's just super killy in 9th, so
Yeah. Unfortunately, this is good. It's not going to change up the way the army plays.
to be honest, I was really surprised to see the IG here. Out of everyone else that's here, I 100% expected to see CSM get something that ha ha ha, wink wink, nudge nudge.
You got something.
It's not there if you haven't read it yet. We'll get to in a second. But of all the armies, I was like, okay, weird. Just because, like, it's not enough to make them relevant, like what the Octarius book was for Tyranids, for example. And that Cadia buff wasn't great either.
Mm.
Yeah.
But then also, their codex is not around the corner. So you kind of go, huh, something just to, like, keep them going? But I don't know. I mean, look, something's better than nothing, right? Always better than nothing.
The thing that I'm potentially interested in here.
I just didn't think this needed to
You've
be
got-
like,
Yeah.
like, go full hammer and tong with this and give them a full kind of big errata that they need, which affects
Yeah.
like the things we're talking about,
They've just
like
gotten
on.
all the Cadian stuff in Octarius, and I think
But it's
some of these will be interesting with that.
not. It's still not great.
White Shields getting issued orders across the board from one model.
Okay, if this bomb point had move, hell yeah.
Yeah, true.
With
But,
a
I mean,
whole thing of
still,
white shields.
first rank, second rank from that many is going to be pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, look,
Yeah,
I'm trying to be
bayonets
devil's
from-
advocate
from
here. I don't really.
90 models.
Yeah,
Imagine 90 models fighting in the shooting phase.
exactly. Because in the combat phase, they'll just get walked over.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, in the opponent's shooting phase, they'll just get walked over.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, so that's the Imperial Guard.
All right. CSM.
So before we move on to
Oh, no.
CSM,
Before-
we'll just hear quickly from Tim from Dice Arcade,
Oh yes.
and we'll be right back.
dicearcade.com.au. All the biggest brands in miniatures and wargaming. Free postage over $250.
All right, thanks, Tim. So, CSM, Locky.
Yes, Chaos Space Marines, for those of you who don't know the acronyms. One dot point, change the Death to the False Emperor ability to read. Each time a model with this ability makes a melee attack, a hit roll of 6+, scores 1 additional hit. So, not only did that change from being non-Imperial models, it's also unmodified.
Yes. No.
No, it's not. No, the only change is
Sorry,
it's no
sorry,
longer
it's not.
Imperial.
It's
It's
not
not
unmodified.
unmodified, meaning that they can get.
It was never unmodified.
Yeah, I know, but the current state of 9th edition is everything's unmodified, so they can get 5 up, potentially 4 up. No, only 5 up. They can get 5 up, exploding 5s.
Yep.
Yes.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I got there. Okay, no +1 wound. And look, we all know the reason. Well, the reason why that's not happening is because the book's coming in February.
Yep.
The rules, the rumors around stuff and the leaks have been all but pretty much 100% confirmed. That is the reason why they haven't done it. I wouldn't be surprised if Chaos Space Marines get a whole nother swathe of a whole bunch of stuff that's going to be really cool. That is going to hopefully justify why the drag out of the 1 wound thing has been what it has been. But in the meantime, this is cool because now, you know, especially if you're playing things like Khorne Berserkers, it's pretty awesome. Or just World Eaters in general, and just your whole army getting exploding 6s is sick.
Yeah.
I mean, you see that now currently in Space Marine successes when they take Whirlwind of Rage. Whirlwind of Rage? Yes. Yes. So it's literally exploding 6s across the board, and people pay a premium, i.e. because by losing their faction trait, right, to gain that. Now, okay, look, it's not breaking it. It's not like, oh my god, now Chaos Space Marines are going to be the top of the meta, but it's just a cool added thing that I think is really good. And look, if their book wasn't around the corner, coupled with what I was saying before, you'd be a bit like, huh, really? Okay, shouldn't they get a little bit more? But because their book's around the corner, you go, cool, this is going to maybe help them survive another phase for a game.
Yes.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
It's cool. That's it.
Yeah,
That's it.
it really is.
Moving on.
Yep. So, Lawrence.
Yes.
Imperial and Chaos Knights.
Yes. All right. So Imperial Knights and Chaos Knights. So all vehicle models with the Imperial Knights or Chaos Knights faction keyword gain the following ability: Towering Foe. This model counts as 5 models when determining control of an objective marker. But if this model is a Titanic model, it is instead count as 10 models when determining control of an objective marker. That's good. Next, second one. If every model from your army has either the Chaos Knights or Imperial Knights faction keyword, of course excluding agents of the Imperium or unaligned units, then all Armiger class and War Dog models from your army gain OBSEC secured ability. So, this is very good. So, finally...
This is the best.
Yes, so now your Armiger or your War Dogs are your troop choice now, because they are your OBSEC units or models. And then, like, this is what, I've been asking for and praying for, that at least, right, give the knights or those Armiger knights at least an OBSEC secured ability.
Yeah.
Finally, they gave it to us.
Yeah.
So
I mean, there's a back rep coming out very soon, which may or may not involve Chaos Knights.
No.
Talk about this exact thing.
No, it's prior. I'm pretty sure we did it in our Custodes app.
We may have talked about it then as well, but we definitely talk about it in one coming out.
We definitely
soon.
talk about it in one of them. So we have two episodes, one episode currently out. another one coming out where we talk about this, and I
Yes.
literally think we quote this, and
I think we say it.
we took it one step further and said, which was what you said, was say count
Yeah.
every wound as a model
A
count.
model.
Every remaining wound.
Remaining
should
wound,
count
yeah,
as one
as
model
count one
with
model.
OBSEC.
But and then the one thing I was always said was, all you needed to do was fix knights, was make the small knights obsec.
Yeah.
That's it, and then count as like 5 or 10 models, and that was it. And you know, Lawrence, we've had a few little back and forths, and it's just like, well, I'm now going to run 14 Moiraxes.
Or 14 armigers.
Yeah, well, because I mean,
Yeah.
the Moirax is armiger class. Right? It's still a
Yes, for the Imperium.
Yeah.
And War Dog for Chaos.
Correct.
yeah. So it takes the War Dog keyword where if you run the armigers under Chaos Knights, but
Yes.
yeah, I think this alone is going to shift the meta more than anything in this book. If you just have this, you're going to see so much change, because now Knights Knights never had issues killing stuff
Yes, correct.
ever.
Yeah.
It was holding objectives.
They're
Yes.
fine with that.
Stealing objectives was always the issue. I mean, the amount of times where you'd have like, 2 units left and you still manage to just like pop here, pop here, pop here. Oh, I'm going to do right. I'm going to do it. Bang, gone. You're like, oh, great, thanks. Now the fact that they have a primary game, and then on top of that, now you're going to see, which we're going to get into later, some points changes with the 2 big bads, coupled with the fact that now everyone else is going to have to take anti-tank. Things that are like, okay, infantry heavy Grey Knights and Terminators and Paladins are going to become a thing. And potentially Dread Knight meta on Grey Knights is not going to be that massive, because Chaos Knights are going to be able to stomp you in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Or Knights in general. And then, it might shift a little bit more to a little bit more of an infantry game. An infantry with anti-tank, or like, what's the cheapest ways for me to get anti-tank? Things like your IG Sentinels now. Potentially like a good play. Your chickens, your Las chickens are going to come back. I mean, not that they ever really, really died, but all I'm saying is I think the meta is going to shift to being, which already kind of was because of the flyers. So the flyers shifted things to be like, okay, sisters need to take a little bit more melters, Space Marines need to take a little bit more anti-tank in general. This is now just going to turn that on its head massively.
Yes, it's massive.
Yeah.
People are going to be teching to kill Knights, because Knights are just going to go and flood through the metas in the next 2 months.
Because I mean, in the recent
Massively.
in the recent tournament, right? I think Knights are like here and there, from between top 1 to top 10, and then now giving them OBSEC, giving them this at least counting
Project.
10 models is like very, very good. I like it.
Yeah.
I don't see how Space Marines have a game in the current state of Space Marine play into a properly tricked out like House Raven Imperial Knights list. How?
I mean, I think I think they're still at a disadvantage for some mission stuff.
But they can kill everything so easy.
They can, yeah, they can, but there's still a limited number of things they can kill every turn, and the things that aren't being killed. Look, I think this is great, and I think absolutely it's going to shift the meta. They'll start winning stuff again.
Yeah.
But your armiger is 5 models. All right. Well, you can play around that. Armigers are easier to kill than the big knights. You kill one, 2 armigers on an objective. Well, you can potentially kill one and put 6 models on an objective.
Yeah, but so when I say I mean Space, because the current state of Space Marines, right, is 1 to 2, maybe 3 troops choices at max, and the rest is elite slots, right? It's your Vanguard vets, it's your Blade Guards, is whatever, and you need to tech in to give them OBSEC and whatever and all that bits and pieces, whatever. Being able to be like rock up with an armiger and you drop your 5 Blade Guard, you're like, cool. You might not kill me, but you definitely don't have the objective. That is huge.
Right, yeah.
It is so huge.
Yeah.
Like, you can just give up your cheapest costed armiger that's not a Moirax, right? And go, fine, I don't care. I'm into your Blade Guard. That Blade Guard now is not doing anything.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not affecting my big knights. You can screen. It's cool. I like it. I think
It is. It's great.
It puts them now they've jumped a whole tier,
Yeah.
and they are 100% on par with, these 2 dot points. It's like getting a whole supplement.
Yeah, I'm very
It's what
excited to play that.
what Octarius did for Tyranids, these 2 dot points did for Chaos
Yeah.
Knights.
Yeah, absolutely.
Knights in general.
Yeah. This is absolutely a good thing. This is the kind of thing Knights have needed for editions.
Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
it's great. I'm really so pumped to be, because I was never really a big fan of the Knights to begin with, but the more and more I've played them, obviously Chaos. I'm not an Imperium player, everyone. We all know that. I'm Chaos and Xenos, but my Chaos Knights, love them.
Yeah.
And with this,
Yeah.
love it. Love it, love it, love
Yeah.
it, love it, love it. I'm very,
Absolutely.
very, very keen. We're gonna show a lot
gonna
of
have to try
Chaos
that on the
Knights on the
channel
channel.
very soon.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And the other thing, actually, quickly, is that because the Moirax and the Styrics, they have Imperial and Chaos keywords.
Yeah.
Yes, they do.
So it works for them,
Yes.
Yeah.
which is awesome.
Yeah.
Good luck
Absolutely.
trying to shift a Moirax off an objective.
I'll be
That
playing
isn't-
this one on Sunday.
Oh man, I wish I was coming. I want to come so bad. Because I could just bring my Chaos Knights. We have a night off,
Yeah, that'd be cool.
and that's it. In the mirror, man, it's pretty sick.
Yes.
All right, what's next?
All right, so this is the one that I'm most excited about out of these changes.
Which is also the
this-
second best in all of it, I reckon, as well.
Yes.
Yes.
And
yeah.
the
And-
second most needed, or equally probably most needed.
I'd say we probably needed it ever so slightly less than the Knights needed it, but
Yep.
we definitely needed it. And this is for Necrons. So Necrons are the following change. Add the core keyword to the keyword section of the following datasheets. Canoptic Acanthrites, see Imperial Armor Compendium. Canoptic Reanimator, Canoptic Wraiths, Flayed Ones, Locust Destroyers, Locust Heavy Destroyers, Ophidian Destroyers, Scorpec Destroyers, Triarch Praetorians.
All the stuff you needed it on.
Yeah, so...
That
Okay,
should have
so-
been in it from the fucking
So-
beginning.
No, it should not have been in it from the beginning.
Why?
But no one else should have gotten it as expansive
Oh,
as they
yeah,
did.
okay, fine. Yeah, if
Okay,
you want to take it
I
from...
will die on the hill that the Necron book, as it came out, was a near perfect book.
Death Guard.
And if the rest of 9th edition had followed Necrons and Death Guard
Yes, you'd have a better game.
and had been the game would be fucking amazing.
Yeah, you wouldn't have the problems you'd have, 100%.
Yeah.
Agreed.
The Necron book, I will sit here and I'll say it. I've had the most fun playing Necrons with the 9th edition Necron book that I've ever had.
And I feel the same about Death
And that's
Guard.
including my 5th edition Royal Court jank, which I missed the Royal Court. It was great. It was a great bit of fun. But as far as the whole army goes, they feel like Necrons, they play like Necrons, and all the buffs and things and synergies feel like they're in the right places. There's of course some adjustments that could have been made. They could have lent more heavily on Destroyer Cults and Canoptics as different sections, although that's the kind of thing that perhaps a Warzone Pariah Nexus might fix in the same vein that Warzone Octarius and so on have done for other armies.
Yeah.
But as far as the basic book goes, it was great. And the core distribution, I think, was a great use of the core keyword. The problem with that, of course, is that Space Marines came out at the same time.
Yeah, and they got
And
everything.
Space Marines had core fucking everywhere.
Yep.
Which was baffling. Like, I understand that they're like, oh, well, everything's
Dreadnoughts.
Space Marines. They've all been tactical Marines, they all get it. It's like, well, yes, but the point of core isn't necessarily to be, everything's being tactical. It's to be the core of the army, what you would see as the main stuff, not everything.
Yep.
However, if you then go and alright, we'll look at the core keyword as a game mechanic and divorce it from the fluff concept that it's trying to represent, then in that case, this is exactly the change the Necrons have needed since day one.
So,
This
do you...
means that all of your buffs and strats and things now work on more or less everything.
Yeah, man. You can veil Ophidian Destroyers and Scorpec Destroyers
Yep.
right up behind your opponent.
screw veiling. You can night scythe them.
I don't know what that is.
You can be spending a strat to have them pop out of a night scythe closer than 9 inches to your enemy. Turn 1.
Dude, epic.
Yes.
Yeah.
So is it like the custode thing, right? Like what, within 3 or 6 or?
I want to say 6, but I don't have the strat in front of me right now.
Well,
Um,
even if
because
that's still
well, no,
that's
it
a
is.
that's
I
a
believe it's 6.
that's a
because the idea
guaranteed
is
charge, right?
You bring the night scythe in from reserve, and has to be more than 9 away, and then you set them up within 3 of that.
Why would you bring the night side in? It's just an aircraft. You just keep it on the board and keep it far enough away.
That was the strategy for using Lich Guard with this. It might be a stipulation of the stratagem that it needs to have come in from reserve itself.
Oh, right.
Because
okay.
I think it's because you bring stuff in from reserve at the end of your movement phase, but stuff gets out at the start or before it's moved.
So then what?
So I think the
It
idea
comes
of that was that
it comes in from strategic reserve. So on the side, then you draw. Anyway, doesn't matter. Am I crazy to thinking that flayed ones are now going to have a place? Because you could veil 10 flayed ones in a position where they could actually do something? Or do they still suck because their data sheet is crap? Because the one thing I hate about seeing Necron armies is they don't have my favorite model, which is flayed ones, which are just absolutely amazing.
Flayed ones are awesome.
I reckon they're the coolest thing in the world.
Yeah. So, this is very quickly, all this strat does that I'm talking about, the Night Scythe one, is that you set a unit up within at the reinforcement step. You select one core unit that's in strategic reserves, and you set that up within 3 inches of a Night Scythe or monolith. So that's very interesting, given that monoliths, with the change to
the CP cost.
CP cost.
So they cost you 1 now.
This might make them even more useful. Anyway, that's what that does. Flayed ones, absolutely. Because flayed ones, every time you look at their data sheet, I go, that's cool.
But they can't get there.
But they can't get buffs. Now, it makes sense they can't get buffs. They shouldn't get buffs lore-wise. It doesn't make any sense for them to get buffs. But they needed it from a gameplay perspective.
Yeah, but it's also they can't actually get to combat, right? Like, that's also their problem.
Well, it wasn't so much they couldn't get to combat. It was more so just that when they were there, they ended up being a bit pillow-fisted for what they should do.
Oh, right. So it is the fact that data sheet is a little bit weak.
Yeah.
Okay, right.
Because look, you can deep strike them in and have them charge like anything else. Right. This does mean if you deep strike them near your warlord with Implacable Conqueror, they can reroll their charge roll, which is nice.
That's cool.
But like the whole delivery to combat is as good or as bad as the rest of the book. That's not the issue.
Okay.
Really, it's just that they get there and you're like, all right, I'm putting a lot of points into knife hand warriors, and they're just acting like a little better than normal warriors. Not like they've got 3-foot blades on their ends of their fingers and they're chopping up space marines. Because flayed ones should kind of feel like Necron Gene Stealers.
Yeah, I was gonna say like
they should be slightly less killy, but a lot tougher.
What? You mean the other way around? You mean more? Oh, sorry, than Gene Stealers. Sorry, I thought you meant the Warriors. Yeah. More tougher. Yes. Then less killy. Yes. They should be like they should be like Berserkers.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah. That's how I picture them. They're the crazy. They're the because that's the thing, right? They're crazed. They're like lost their brains, mentally insane things.
Yeah, like they're not. I mean, lore-wise, they're not insane to the point. They're not insane to the point of unreason.
Not like destroyers.
They're still aware.
Yeah.
Well, no. Destroyers are cold and calculating. So destroyers, flayed ones are. It's a very quick tangent here. Flayed ones are aware and able to think and reason and stuff, but they're just driven overall by this unending need to reclothe themselves in flesh
and try and eat humans.
And try and eat flesh and and wear it.
Idiot! It doesn't work.
Yeah, and they're constantly like tormented by this thing that they can't actually get any satisfaction from it, but that's what they need to do.
Yeah.
Destroyers are cold and calculating, and very hyper aware. They just don't care, and their whole thing is they want to eradicate life to the point where they will engineer entire ecosystem collapse on a world, and they will spend. And if you read The Infinite and the Divine, there's a small destroyer cult. Well, a destroyer cult in that. I don't know how small it is. That they spend like a couple of thousand years on one planet, engineering a full ecosystem collapse and biosphere collapse, and then literally going through and excoriating every bit of bacteria from the planet's surface.
That is very
And they spend,
OCD.
like, yeah. And they spent like 1,000 years doing it or something like
Guys,
that.
just chill out, yeah. Like,
And then, from memory, they do it, and then like they come back like several thousand years later or million years later, and life has grown back again.
they're like, God damn it, we didn't do it right.
Yeah. But yeah, so there's a difference between them. But
Yeah, fair enough.
now they've all got core. They all get the buffs that they shouldn't have lore-wise, but they do need gameplay-wise.
Yes.
So, another quick one. Locust destroyers are just destroyers, right? Why are they...
Regular destroyers.
Yeah, regular... Why,
Yeah.
whatever, the locust thing, we're not going into that.
Yeah.
Does that make now... Does this make them viable now? Because you just don't ever see them, ever. Like, ever.
There's an interesting thing here, which I'm going, all right, your Locust heavy destroyers.
No, not
Your
heavy.
Locust destroyers.
Yeah,
Your
yeah,
Locust
yeah,
destroyers,
yeah.
Big unit of them. You've got the 2 CP strat to make them reroll all wounds.
Because you can take 6, right?
And you've got, you can take 9, I want to say.
Oh, wow. Okay, cool.
And
And they're what, T5, 3 wounds each?
Yeah. So you can take them. They've got the strat to reroll all wounds, or you've got a destroyer lord nearby to reroll 1s to wound in an aura.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
They reroll 1s to hit
Innately,
with hatred
yeah.
everything. Right? They got the rule hatred everything.
So hit on 3s, rolling
reroll
1s flat out.
Yeah.
Then you could be like...
You throw a My Will Be Done on them, because with this...
Oh, because you might will be done them. Yeah.
Yeah. With this, you're almost always taking an Overlord with Hand of the Pharaon for the 2 My Will Be Dones for free.
Yep.
And then you've got a strat to do with another one.
Right. Okay.
So you're hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s. Alright. Maybe you're dropping 1 hit. You're then wounding on almost everything. You're wounding on 3s.
Well, what's
maybe 4s,
the
with
strength
full
of
rerolls.
their
With Gauss cannons, I want to say 6.
6? Is strength 6 minus 1, 2 damage? I feel like that's what the profile is.
I believe so. Hold on. So with that, this is the problem there. You're rerolling all wounds, and so on.
You're still hampered by its minus 1. So who cares?
Yeah, it's
Strength 6 minus 1, 2 damage?
not bad. It's not bad. But you're still only minus. I think you're minus 2 at that point. Maybe even minus 3. Sorry, I don't have the book right in front of me.
Well, get the bloody book. Use your phone, put it in Battlescribe. Come on, we need content fast.
All right. Settle down.
No, look. I think
I've got it here.
I think. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. So that's heavy destroyer. It's the other one. Why is this not here?
Okay.
All right.
This is okay.
Keep going.
Yeah.
This shouldn't be.
This aside, it's one of those things that you hear everyone players talking about it, and it's not a biased thing.
Minus 3 D3.
Minus 3 D3 strength 6.
Minus 3 2. Strength 6 minus 3 2.
That's awesome. Fury rolling wounds. That is like.
Yeah.
How many shots?
Marine
What is it?
theory.
Heavy what? Heavy 3.
Heavy 3.
Heavy 3. Right.
No, heavy 2.
Heavy 2. So
it's great.
It's a less powerful hive guard, but you need line of sight. But you have a 10-inch movement, and now you're core. So.
Yep. Look, they're still pricey. They're paying for the sins of last edition when they were an auto take and they would annihilate everything.
It's cool. Like, I mean, I would like to see that. I'd like to see them get some play. I think Ophidian Destroyers now 100% are going to be taken in a lot of competitive lists.
Yep.
Like, guaranteed you'll see them. You're going to see Scorpex in every list, even more so than what they already were taken. I even wouldn't be as far pressed to see full Destroyer cult lists be put in the competitive scene.
I mean, I've been edging closer to running a Destroyer cult list at some point just for lols, and now I'm like, well, it's actually potentially viable.
If I was ever going to play Necrons, which would probably be never, but if I ever was, it would only be by playing Destroyers. Just because they're cool.
They're cool.
Oh no. So I was reading it right the first time. It's 3/6 3d3. 3/6 minus 3d3.
Yep.
It's the
So heavy
2's the other one.
So heavy 3.
Yeah. Heavy 3.
Strength.
They're ignoring penalty for moving and firing.
Yeah, because they're vehicles.
Yeah.
Strength 6 minus 3 d3 damage. Great profile if you're re-rolling wounds. That is insane.
Yeah. So it's pricey because you're paying 50 points a model.
Oh wow, that is very expensive.
Expensive.
That's very expensive.
So you're paying 300 points for a unit of 6 of these.
For a
Right.
T5 3 wound model.
For
I think it's
a
expensive.
T5 3 wound 2 attack.
Oh, okay, yeah, no, that's still way too expensive.
It's
That's
still
crazy.
expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like That's like 100. That's like at least 50 to 60 points too much.
But now your Technomancers are raising them every turn. So the other biggest thing here is finally, our Technomancers, which are our Cryptex, can heal destroyers and stuff every turn, just like Space Marine Apothecaries could.
Because they're
from
core.
day one. Because they're core.
Okay.
Because before you used to have to spend a 15-point upgrade to once per game heal one non-core model.
Oh, that's retarded.
Which was how you would heal destroyers and stuff.
Yeah.
But now you just do it for free, the same way that the Space Marine Apothecary has been able to do all edition.
Man, I didn't even realize that. That's epic, because I'm looking at this list now of all the things you could do that on.
Yeah.
So can you bring back a reanimator?
No, because the Reanimator is a single model unit. Once the unit is dead, you can't.
Oh,
you can't.
right. Okay, of course. Sorry.
But here's where you go. Now you're bussing around with your, and this is where I'm thinking I'm going to take my Reanimator list, which is coming out very soon.
Yeah, which is hilarious.
You're bussing around a Technomancer with Cloak, with a unit of 20 warriors, a Reanimator, and a unit of 3 heavy destroyers. The Cloak heals the Reanimator, and the Technomancer is giving the command protocol aura to all 3 of them.
Yeah.
Whatever it is that turn.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
The Technomancer is then healing the warriors if they need it, or the destroyers if they need it. They bus around together, like keeping that blob.
Well, you're like a moving castle now, at this point, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And essentially, you're sitting there going, well, and maybe even if you've got the points, you take the Phylacterine Hive upgrade as well, so that let's say you've lost 2 destroyers, well, they're both coming back.
Man, I imagine you could run like you could run a moving castle, right, with 2 units of locust heavy destroyers with all your characters in the buff in the front.
Yeah.
2 units of Ophidians up the front, and then like 2 units of destroyers up the middle, and just have this moving Death Star that just like. And it's just
I'm liking the idea of investing fully in 9 heavy destroyers.
Wow.
Giving one in each unit the anti-infantry gun.
Yep.
And just replacing like half your anti-infantry power with those.
Well, I mean, look, we were just
yeah.
talking about how prevalent knights are going to be.
Yeah.
Right? 100% that's what you do, right?
Yeah. Oh, Lawrence, you better believe I'm bringing 4 destroyers and 2 knights.
Strength 10 minus 5 3d3 damage, bro.
Oh my gosh. Rotate Iron Shields.
Epic. Yeah, it's nuts. Yeah, man, I'm excited. I'm excited to see what the Necrons can do, because the problem with as well that's been, I know we've been rambling on Necrons for a while now, but I think it's a big one. But you've kind of just had like 2 builds.
Yeah.
Really existed, and you've had the outliers of like that dude who got, I think, 3rd or 2nd.
Second.
It was what tourney was it? It was one of the American ones. Yeah, it was
Yeah, it was one of the big ones.
It was like LVO or the Atlanta one or whatever.
I want to say it was Atlanta.
I think it was Atlanta, and it was with the destroyer thing. It was
well,
like
he had some destroyers, Returning Catan, and a few other.
But it was majority I'm pretty sure it was majority destroyers.
Yep.
And everyone was like, "What?" And cool, like that's awesome. I love it when people find those niches and like crack that, whatever that state is.
Yeah.
But you shouldn't have to do that, right? Like that's just not a good reflection on the state of the game. So
like, look, this update, it's good. It's not gonna. They're not gonna be Drakari levels. intrinsically.
I don't know, man.
Um,
I don't know.
it's-
I've listened to a lot of potties recently, and a lot of
Yeah.
people's opinions saying, the similar thing. Oh, it's not going to knock the two, but I reckon it is. Like,
I think it's going to bring it a lot more within reach. I think a good player running these can now have a game.
Yes.
I look at this and I go, especially with the points updates, which we're going to get to in a second. And I know we've been rambling for a bit, but this skyrockets GK in my opinion. All of this just goes, it just cracks them right to the top.
GK.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about
Yeah,
Sisters?
Sure.
What was that?
How about Sisters? I think Sisters also is a big winner of this changes.
Yeah.
Come out pretty well as
Yes, yeah, they will. They will. I mean, I think the Sisters massively with the Knights matchup because it's easy for them to take out Knights with their Retributors and Repentia and that with all their +1s to wound and all that sort of stuff. I think the Necron thing is going to change up the meta for everyone else a lot more than what the Knights will do.
Mm-hmm.
It will force a few of those armies that are sitting in that A+ and the A and B+ range to really need to take into more things. Because now you don't need... it's not like, I need to take into Drukhari and AdMech. Well, I don't even think you need to take into Drukhari now. It's going to be like, I need to take anti-tank.
Mm.
You got to take in to deal with Knights. You're gonna have to take in to deal with. Well, you're already taking to deal with T5 Orcs. Now you deal with T5 Necrons too.
Yeah.
Because you're running more Destroyers.
And also, yeah, that's
You're
what I
running
mean.
those
Like
T5 3 wound. Getting back up with all these characters kicking around.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you're already like, it's now going to double down because of. I mean, look, I think the initial impression is that Drukhari wasn't hit too hard with points, which is true.
Yeah.
Which we're going to get to compared to what AdMech was hit by. But
They also didn't need as big of a hit with them.
no, that is also true.
Well,
No. I would agree. I would agree. There are more counters to Drukhari. So the problem with the stats currently is the numbers, and this is how statistics exist and get skewed, right?
Yeah.
The amount of people that play Drukhari are skewing the numbers to give them this crazy number of win rate that's still currently existing.
Yes.
And that's why when people go, oh, Orcs aren't that bad, and you go, oh, no, they're the worst, because you look at it is such a small pool, and it is crazy. So with these changes, and I don't mean the points changes to Drukhari, I mean the utility changes of everyone else.
Yep.
Chaos, like Knights now have a whole new game into Drukhari.
Yeah.
True.
And certain points changes are massively affecting them. Things like Dark Lances and a few other bits and pieces, again, which we'll get to in a second. But yeah, I think Drukhari are nerfed actually quite heavily, and not because not directly, indirectly nerfed.
Yeah. Now, as a very quick aside, we talked earlier about the heavy-handedness of the match play stuff. The fact that for the Drukhari, they've gone, all right, the other changes we've made will affect them, therefore they don't need as huge a points nerf, shows that there are people that do understand this.
Yeah.
And they can do it well. And that's like that sort of light touch change that will matter.
Yeah.
Is one of the best things about this update.
I mean, you and I spoke about this heaps, Dalton. It was a 10 to 15% increase that Drukhari needed. And that's all that
specific units, and that was it.
And that was it. And that's literally what they've done. And it's perfect.
So we'll get
so quickly,
wrap up Necrons real quick and just point out that the only notable things that are missing are Scarabs, Spiders, and Doomstalkers, as well as the Tomb and the Tombstalker and Sentinel from Forge World that haven't been given all the core stuff like the other conflict stuff. Again, it's not about the lore here. It's just about the game mechanics. They didn't need it.
Scarabs getting core would be a bit crazy.
Yeah.
Doomstalkers.
Scarabs getting core would be retarded.
Yeah.
It would be beyond retarded.
They don't need it. You'll see why Locky's saying that soon.
No.
But no, they don't. They don't need it.
Yeah. No.
But yeah, that's it for the Necrons. Really, I'm excited. Going to be really keen to show off a bunch of these in chat. I'll try out a bunch of new builds and
Yeah.
those soon.
I'm super pumped for that too, actually.
Yeah.
All right,
Now,
so orcs. This is heavy.
Yeah.
I don't agree. Yeah, I mean, look, something had to be done, but we're gonna get into it. But this is harsh. When mustering an orcs army, it cannot include more than one of each of the following units: Boomdacker Snaz Wagons, Custom Booster Blasters, Mega Track Scrap Jets, Rocket Truck Squig Buddies, or Shock Jumper Dragsters.
Yay!
Yeah, well done. Yeah, it had to happen.
You got through it.
Yeah.
I think the only mistake there was Rocket Truck Squig Buddies.
I said buggies.
It sounded like buddies here, which to be fair, it's what they're covered in. So
Rocket Truck Squig Buddies.
they got little squig buddies everywhere.
Look, I think there was probably only two of these that were causing issues, which was the Scrap Jets and the Squig Buggies. Yeah. My main issue with this is the issue with this build and these units was one list, which was the freebooters list.
Yeah.
And doing this, and this comes back to what we were saying at the beginning of this regarding the aircraft stuff.
Well, this
it's
is
a
the
it's
same change.
Yeah,
to the aircraft.
it's the blatant
They've done the same thing
across
and
the
just
board where if you're like, oh, I'm taking 3 patrols, one's freebooters, one's blood axes, one's whatever. I don't know another faction right now. Can't think of it. Goths. There you go. You're stuffed. You can't do it.
Yeah, you can't.
And it's still good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that, oh, they should have done something different. I mean, yes, they probably should have done something a little bit more specific. This needed to happen. And if the new book hadn't have just come out, which is really good for Speed War, the Speed Freaks, things with, making war buggies obsec and, the 14-shot sniper and all sorts of crazy cool stuff. I would say this is literally just taking orcs out of the game entirely. I mean, I'd probably be wrong because I'm not an orc player, but
I mean, I think you've still got kill rigs, you've still got
this is the thing.
Boys, and it's going to make all those okay. Look,
it's gonna force people to make new builds, right? It's gonna force people to actually go, hey, what's actually in our book, rather than what's the stupid thing that was brokenly and bad written, like the first 2 months of Admech and Drakari,
Yeah, exactly. So the result of this change is good, but in the same way that the aircraft change, because this is the same change. They've gone.
It's the same template, yeah.
This unit, you can't take them.
We don't know how. Yeah.
And look, we don't know how to fix this, so we're not going to let you run it.
I think personally that 40K and Games Workshop should implement a limit system based on models for every faction across the board. In general, if you're playing match play, you cannot take more, and they just add it to a data sheet.
Which it used to be a thing. Third, fourth, fifth, and maybe 6th edition. A lot of units had 0 to 3 of these.
Blade Guard veterans. Yeah, exactly. Whatever it is, 0 to 3, 0 to 1, 2. I mean, they did the same thing with HQs, and then all through 8th they had issues, and now
change that. You'd go, if you took this HQ, you could take 2 more units of this.
And we're getting back to that point. Slowly. I mean, now look, you can only have one. Again, I'm referencing Space Marines, but it's just the best example of this situation. You can only have one captain and one whatever lieutenant, in those kinds of things. Just bring it back. Feed it back into your balance. If you're not putting it in part of your spreadsheet, Games Workshop, please do.
Do it.
You can use the way you do your balancing to check your force multipliers and how that's going to work if you're running 4, 5, 6 units of the same things, and figure out exactly what number you need. Yada yada yada, whatever. I think that will help create a lot more interesting list building in the game, because it's not like you're strapped for options.
Yeah.
Because of how generic the missions are, so you can still create these cool, and because the player pool and the numbers are so huge, i.e. the amount of people that play, there will be these ways of and the metas are so different, you'll find these things that work. I just think that it's an easier way for them to do, again, quote unquote, lazy balance, but not being lazy, because obviously you need some thought to figure out what that number actually is. You know, is 4 units of Blade Guard too many, or, you know, is 2.5 or whatever, and you hope that's done correctly. I think that's the next step from this process. But is it necessary? Probably not. If they keep doing this, probably doesn't need that to happen. I don't know. I'm just spitballing, because then you will mitigate this whole bad touch feeling that you're getting here.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like you'd go, okay, AdMech, you get all these crazy additional benefits to how your flies function, but you can only take 2.
Yeah.
But Astra Militarum, you can take 5. Because your things don't do anything, and they die.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah.
whatever. I think that to me feels better. I don't know about what you guys think, but that to me feels better.
All you're doing then is you're making the rule of 3 unit specific.
Yeah.
Now, while normally I'm in favor of generalizing as much as possible, for something that is that specific of a thing, how many of each unit you should have or could have without busting a list, I don't think you can generalize it any further than the unit datasheet level.
No, you can't. Of course
So,
not. No, yeah. Yeah.
So like from a design perspective, you're talking about taking the rule of 3 and applying it individually to every unit, and adjusting the number.
Yep.
Which I think is something you should probably do.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's at that point now where, especially if they want to push into a more competitive sense, it's where it's going to have to go.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, look, I can't speak too much on the Orcs thing. I'm not an Orc player. All I know is that it's bad. I've been very lucky. I think all of us have been very lucky, because there is no Orc players in our community.
Yeah.
To have not been bad touched by this. But look, I'm sorry if you disagree with what's happened with this, then maybe you should stick to your backyard gaming or whatever, because it wasn't fun for people.
Yeah. So again, like I mentioned earlier, that the only issue with this is then you go, you know, your local bloke who runs Mad Max Orcs, because that's cool.
Well, you can run Mad Max Orcs now with the new supplement. It's probably more Mad Max Orcs now.
Probably, yeah. If he's gone and bought 9 of the same buggy because that's the design he likes and converted them all up and done all that kind of
Who
stuff.
buys 9 of the same thing because it's the design they like? Anyone who buys 9 of the same things because they want to smash their opponent. Come on.
Yeah.
Ask Lawrence, he does it all the time.
I have 9. I have 9 Ballistari.
See? There you go.
There you go, yeah. But like, in that sense, this kind of heavy-handedness,
No,
showing up out of nowhere,
Yeah,
is going to hurt you. Like, the players it's going to hurt are the casual ones.
I mean, how much?
If you're playing a win-at-all-costs army and you're buying the army to play the game and to win because that's the current meta thing, so what? The meta changes. You'll be buying a new one in 3 months anyway.
Exactly.
Doing that sooner.
I mean, have you seen
This
the buy-sell swaps on Australia at the moment?
there's
Everything's
all
buggies
buggies
everywhere.
everywhere.
It's just flat out.
I've been tempted to pick them up because they're nice models. I'm like, I'm tempted to pick one of those on the team and take one because they're cool.
And they'll go dirt cheap. So hey, if you ever wanted to, maybe holding out for the second wind where it will come back when something else comes and realizes it's broken. Just go and buy them up now and just hold them and just hold them until later.
If you wanted to start that Mad Max Orc list, now's when to do it.
Exactly.
Anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So those are all the game changes. Which is I don't think we noted it earlier. It's the first one that's done this.
Yes.
They have not messed with game rules yet before in updates and things outside of FAQs and erratas, which are never really changes or additions. They're just clarifying stuff, making sure stuff works the way it was meant to.
On top of that, this is the first time they've buffed. Like, properly buffed.
Properly buffed, yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Gone, this is a distinctive, very intentional buff choice to this entire faction. Not a model, not a unit, a faction. Which I think is great.
Yep.
All right. So, moving on from those, we now get to the points changes. AdMech and Drakari. Now, Lawrence.
All right.
You're our resident filthy win at all costs Admech playing.
We always make it out so bad, but it's like we actually love him, and he's super awesome.
Sorry,
Guys,
when I was thinking about doing this podcast, I was going to make that joke, and I had a whole thing, which was that we make it out like it's bad, but genuinely, Lawrence is one of the best people to play with in the group.
100%.
And I always enjoy playing with you.
thank you.
Genuinely, always look forward to playing you, no matter how badly you smash me with your Admech or your Knights. So, sorry.
All right. So
with Admech, what do we got?
So before I mention these points, so I think this is bad news and good news for me. Okay, so good news first, because of the lockdown, right? We really didn't have enough playing time. So meaning to say, I know a lot of people don't want to play with Admech. So now it's good news, because the next time that I would turn up with Admech, then at least people would be thinking at least we are level, right? Now going to the bad news.
Yep.
Almost all the competitive units here were really nerfed, right? Most people who's playing games with Admech, so all the units that they are using are actually nerfed. So let's start with their HQ choices. So the Marshal now is up by 10 points, so as the Tech Priest Manipulus. And then for the troop choice, both the Vanguards and the Rangers from 8 points now to 9 points. And then if you want to add the Enhanced Data Tether and then the Omnispecs, so those are also plus 5 points each. So 120 brick of Ranger or a Vanguard, before it would cost you 170 points. Now it would cost you 200 points. So that's a 30 points increase. Next, so for the elites, both the Infiltrators and the Rastalkers from 17 points, they are now up by 2 points, which is 19 points. And then this one is also like a very heartache for me. My Fast Attack Iron Strider, they are up also by 10 points. So I believe now they are 95 points? I'm not sure if that's 85 or 95. Yeah, but they are up by 10 points. And then the next one, this is also the very big nerf. From 16 points, the Cerberus Raiders, they are up to 20 points. So 4 points increase. And then if you also want to add Enhanced Data Tether, additional 5 points for that. So yeah, I think people who plays at least 2 or 3 units of Raiders would have to cut down at least 2 units. And then
we know you've got 3 full units of them.
Now I will just play 1. Okay, so next is for the heavy support. So this one is not a nerf, but for those people who have Castellan robots, they are down by 10 points. So I think they are now 90 points. And then for the Flyers, which we already have a ruling of limit of 2 for those 2K games, they are up by 20 points. So Fusilov from 130, now it's 150. And the Stratoraptor, I believe, is 160, now to 180 points. So I'm not sure if people would still take these Flyers. Even for myself, I have 3 Flyers. Probably I won't be doing that build anymore. And then lastly, sorry?
I was going to say, I don't think you're going to see Flyers at all.
I believe so too.
I think they're still good utility units. I think you're still going to see them, but they're no longer going to be the core jank.
Yes.
When you have the counters that Necrons and Knights now have,
I don't think so.
To Flyers,
they just get shot out of
the
sky.
I mean, maybe, but they could have done that before.
But
but they've got redundancy because they had 5 of them, right?
Yeah. And now you're spending those points for those 5 on other.
That's what I mean. So now you're going to spend 180 points on one that you need to do a certain thing that gets killed turn 1 that can't be hidden to a knight. There is no way you're doing that.
I think it'll still happen on occasion. I think they're still.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to see. We'll have to see. It depends on how good the others go, but it's gonna cause people to second guess it.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and then lastly for the Holy Orders, so Loja is also up by 5 points. So Loja is the -1 and -2 AP, and then the Artisan that gives your unit fall back and shoot is also up by 10 points. So basically, these are the units or abilities that you can really see almost on every table that have Admech. So I think it's a pretty decent changes, which are of course well-deserved nerf. So at least now it's when people are thinking, okay, number one and number two is really Admech and Drukari. Now, I think every faction have a chance of winning.
I I agree. Um, the thing I find interesting is that, and I don't know, Lawrence, if you've looked into this, but do you think that the uh, the Book of Rust, right? It's got the veteran cohort, but it's also got the robot thing one, right?
Yes, the defense
Whatever.
something
Mm.
defense cohort. Yes, is that the one?
So, which yeah, the defense cohort, which is very shooty anti-tanky,
Yes,
right?
correct.
Hmm.
So with that being robots being cheaper, and the cohort, I mean, don't get me wrong, veteran cohort didn't get touched, which I found quite interesting too.
Hmm.
Well, it got touched via
Right.
everything going up. The Skitarii are now more expensive. It's got to cascade through that as well.
Yeah, yeah. True, it did. Whether it was enough, I don't know. But obviously now with again everything we've said so far throughout this whole podcast about the effect of everyone else, therefore having playing on a roll-on effect to AdMech, you know, I think I'm gonna say it. I reckon you might end up. I always thought that was a cool thing. The defense cohort. It made a lot of sense to me when I was like, okay, this sounds
Yeah,
really cool.
there is a play with that particular build. So I think a lot of people are also experimenting because of these new nerfs or what build is next. So maybe we should try those Cult Mechanicus units or models. But if you now, let's say, you want still to win with those Skitari one, probably you would be going to the Lucius build wherein you would field in 120 Skitari. I don't know. So we will see.
But I mean, if that's your choice, you've just increased your list by 120 points.
No, of course, now you would be cutting down those elites and fast attack, but you would just rely on your troop choice. So
Is
instead of playing
is that enough though?
I'm not sure. That's why
I
we
mean,
would find out.
this is a good thing then, because we're sitting here going, well, the lists that were just busted are now, well, all right.
Yeah.
With all the extra points, do they still work? Do you need to change that up?
Do they hold up against 2 Mergeras and 6 lightning lock, double lightning lock
I
Moirax
don't think they would
I
hold
mean,
in
maybe.
that are
the
obsec?
points. Yes,
I mean, that shooting alone is insane.
yeah. So that's why
Does that
There's
not
gonna be a
kill?
bit of a
Does that not
towards-
kill 40 ranges a turn?
Of course it will, but that's why now when you build this type of army, right, you really have to think what are my goals, what
Yeah.
should be my strategy, what should be my placings, this kind of thing. So that's why they were saying when I also was listening to different reviews, it actually put you in a position wherein you really have to, be a commander of your squad, not just okay, I play this one because they are very strong, they are very OP. So now everyone has a
It's not
level
copy and
playing field.
paste.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing, really. Like that's what you want an army
Correct.
to be. You
Yeah,
want to have
yeah.
to make hard
They now
decisions.
need to do what everyone else has done for the last 9 months. So,
Yeah.
Yes.
or sorry, not 9 months, or whatever, 3 months, 6 months. Time,
Yeah.
weird one.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, obviously, AdMech was hit harder than
True.
Drukari,
Yes.
Right.
and I think
So
what do you? I was looking at Blood Brides. Didn't Blood
the only,
Brides get
just
any?
very quickly,
Yep.
the only thing with AdMech that I think maybe didn't need to happen was the points drop on the flyers as well as the aircraft nerf. I don't think it's gonna. I still think they are going to be useful in the occasional list.
Yeah, two at 130 probably still would have been fine, or to even 150 would have been fine.
Yeah, maybe if they'd gone up 10 points instead of 20.
Yes.
Yeah,
Or maybe if they just left them with the aircraft.
Yes.
yeah, I can agree with that. I actually
but-
thought a similar thing. I was like, wow,
but even
that's
then-
just-
Yeah, because apart from limiting the aircraft, now you also increase their points. That's why, as you said, Lucky, I don't think people will take flyers anymore, especially for admin.
Yeah, I don't at all. I think they're just gone completely from
Mhm.
AdMech competitive lists.
I have 3
You-
flyers.
you-
Maybe I should be
I wouldn't be
surprised.
I would
one or two here or there.
I
But,
wouldn't
yeah,
be
yeah,
surprised if they're going to drop flyers and tech into the Cult Mechanica stuff.
I think
Let's
robots
see.
and Ballastaria are going to make a comeback.
Yeah, I wouldn't be. Yeah, Balance Dataslate purely because of the D3+3 damage and the fact that you're going to see
Yep.
so much mechanized everywhere, i.e.,
Even with this second nerf, they're still great.
correct.
no, they could be like, because of the fact that no other las cannon has D3+3, they'll always be efficient. It doesn't matter what. It doesn't matter how much they cost. At the end of the day, you go, your las cannon, my las cannon. Well, mine can be double and still be more efficient than yours.
True.
I did double points. I mean,
Yeah.
like, statistically, it's still going to be more efficient on enough dice rolls.
Yep.
It just is. And I think with, if people are gonna take things like, 3 units of 3 Locust Heavy Destroyers, having, 3 units of 2 Ballastaris that you can guarantee that in your shooting phase, if you get turn 1, that those destroyers are dead.
Yeah.
Yeah,
God.
yeah, for sure.
It's gonna be good. So,
At that point, it's going to come back down to positioning and actually playing the game.
Yes.
It's no
Exactly,
longer going to be about
exactly.
who gets first turn and who has the most guns.
Exactly. And then, and Knights too, you're just gonna...
Yeah.
And this is where I think, Lawrence, you were right when you said it in our Discord. You were like, 14 armatures, bang. I'm like, I'm with you, man. I reckon 100%. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if you see something like that come on the table and go,
Guess.
here you go, and win, because OBSEC, and it'd be like 50-50 Armiger / War Dog / Moiraxes.
Yeah.
I'm really
Or
excited
even
for
just
our
14
local meta.
Moiraxes. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
um,
I'm really excited for our local meta because we've got all of this in it.
Yes.
We've got Admech, Drakari, Knights, Necrons,
yeah.
Nids. We haven't got Orcs.
Haven't
but
got Orcs.
Other than that, we've all the big
Well,
ones
I know
that
IG
changed in
either.
this.
Like, you play it, but it's
I
not.
mean,
really,
I don't play it much.
But I mean,
I've got it for a
whatever.
narrative thing a while ago. But yeah. So I'm excited to see how all this shakes out.
The 4
in
armies that...
games.
And look, I think I said this as well in our Discord. I wouldn't be surprised in the next couple months you see some Death Guard wins.
Yep, some
Yeah.
Death Guard, some Grey
Yeah.
Knights, some Sisters. They're
Yeah.
all going to pop up. And
De-
we've got
Death
all
Guard
those
are gonna
same
become-
Sisters at the moment.
Massive. Death
Yeah.
Guard, Grey Knights, and Sisters are gonna
Yes.
shoot right up.
And then potentially Custodies as well come December.
I think... Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I think this is
And
good.
hopefully Hive Mind as well with the GSC.
Yeah.
I think you're gonna see the biggest thing that hindered Death Guard was the fact that they don't have a good secondary, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Compared to, say, like AdMech, GK, Sisters. They have great faction secondaries that can score them pretty reliable good points, 15s on most games.
Yeah.
And AdMech can just kill everything. Drakari and AdMech now are not going to be able to bring as much.
Yes.
Death Guard's not touched. So potentially, it might mitigate the ability for Drakari to, i.e., jump around and do all these crazy things to get all these points.
Yeah.
So it'll be very interesting, because the Necron and Death Guard player base is huge.
Yes.
Yeah.
Globally, massive.
Globally. Oh, as a quick aside, the Necron group,
competitively, like it's
Yeah.
huge.
the Necron group, already bitching about this.
What do you mean,
So,
bitching? Like complaining?
The Necron. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. They were complaining about this. Like it went up, and I feel like 5 minutes before it went up, someone was on there complaining about it. Like,
What are they complaining
it's-
about?
oh, you tell me, mate. It was immediate and thorough.
God. Well,
I mean, don't get me
go
wrong,
play a
there's lot of
different
great
game
stuff
then. Jesus.
There's a lot of great stuff, but the Necron group is salty about anything.
God. Just like the
Um,
faction
yeah.
that they are, right? They're just old men whinging.
I mean, you're not wrong.
As in, like, Necrons being old,
Yeah,
40
yeah,
million-year-old people that are just like, oh, I hate my life.
Get off my lawn.
I have to get up again. Oh, my God, I've been up for so long. My knees hurt. They're rusty.
The dudes don't even have knees anymore. They still have-
Exactly.
Alright, so the Drakari changes. I'll run through them very quickly and give a brief bit of thoughts. The Archon went up 5 points. Sure, I don't think it needed it, but I'm not going to complain either. Like it's not gonna. It's still good. It wasn't busted before. It's still not busted, and it's still not nerfed to the ground. It's still useful. Cool. The Homunculus went down 10 points. Again, cool. You weren't seeing them very often because everything else was so efficient. You might see them a little bit more.
You will
Again,
now.
I'm not sure it needed the 10-point drop. Maybe a 5-point drop. So maybe that'll come around and bite them.
I don't know if it needed a drop, but yeah.
I think it did a little bit, even with the Archon and Succubus changes. It just wasn't as good. You'd take Drazar instead.
Yeah.
Succubus went up 20 points. Yeah, 100% needed it.
100%.
I am not going to complain about that in the slightest.
The problem is, right? You're still going to take it every time.
I'm still taking 2 Succubus. I'm still taking 2 Succubi in my list.
I know.
You could have... I also think they probably should have also put another 10 points, or at least another 5 points, on the Master Succubus upgrade.
There should be a premium on Strife somehow.
They should have something similar to the veteran cohort.
Yeah, the Holy Order or the Holy Orders thing, right? Like, yeah,
extra 1 point for your model.
Yeah, something like that. Sorry, yeah. I get what you're saying.
Yeah. Speaking of witches, they went up 2 points.
Yeah.
So witches as base now cost 12, which fair enough.
And Blood Brides are now what, 15?
Yeah.
So Blood Brides went up 1 as well. So now this is interesting because the Archon and the Succubus both went up, but neither the Master Archon nor the Master Succubus were touched, which I think potentially they could have been. I think the Archon upgrade probably should have the increase should have gone to the Master Archon.
But don't you just add the Master?
Succubus,
don't you just add the Master points to the base?
You do, but by increasing the base and not the Master, you're increasing every Archon across the board. Whereas if you increase the Master upgrade, you would still keep the regular Archons at the level they are currently.
Well, I think that seems like by design.
It is by design. I'm just saying I potentially think it's a little bit too much.
Okay,
but then again, the Archons weren't necessarily the thing that everyone went, that's the broken thing.
Yep.
They're just kind of there. I'm not going to complain about getting a 5-point nerf to them because they're still good. They're just at the upper end of good now instead of the lower end, the cheaper end.
Trueborn up by 1.
Trueborn and Blood Brides both went up by 1.
Is that reasonable?
Yep, 100%. Yeah. So the Blood Brides are now
15 points. I'm pretty sure.
15 points per model, which I think is reasonable. I don't want to pay 60.
I think that's still overcosted. Like, sorry,
undercosted. You mean?
No, I think that's way too expensive. Like, as in, sorry, when I say way too expensive, I don't mean way too expensive from it's too expensive, I wouldn't pay it. I mean, that it's unreasonable. I mean, it's too expensive that I would just pay for normal witches and not pay Blood Brides.
Right. I think you might still take Blood Brides because you want. So
what are you getting? Is one plus ballistic skill, weapon skill.
+1 weapon skill. That's about it, really.
So 15 point.
The rest of it matters, but the
15 point T3 model, 1 wound for 15 points. Sorry, yeah. T3 1 wound model for 15 points.
So the only reason you would still take them is because with Drakari and with witches in particular, you've got a bunch of buffs you can throw out onto one unit to make it like unbelievably blendy. And this is a matter of going, well, is that worth more to put that onto a regular unit of witches, or if I've got that special unit that can be that bit better, I'll put it on them instead. And from that perspective, you might still take Blood Brides, and I do still think you're going to see them because they are just that much more efficient and that much more effective.
So realistically, to put it in points perspective, I'm not even going to use Space Marines. I'm going to use Warriors here.
All right.
So a single Warrior with 2 Scything Talons is 17 points.
Yep.
Toughness 4, 3 wounds, 3. It's actually 4 attacks, 3 attacks base, but with 1 attack from the double Scything Talons. That you can give +1 to hit. You can put all the. You can ignore AP 1 and 2, all sorts of stuff for the same cost, and the durability increase is through the roof. So, I think it's actually a mass nerf to them. I think, look, like you say, you might take them still, but I think just overall in the grand scheme of thing, I think that increase of points there is quite. The increase of points outweighs the bonuses that you get for being Blood Brides. Is kind of what I'm saying. Like, personally, I'd be like, I'm just going to take more witches.
Witches have gone up now as well. Remember, the main difference is on witches. Blood Brides went up by 1 point extra.
Yeah.
Witches went up by 2.
Yeah.
So Blood Brides effectively went up by 3, while witches went up by 1. So the difference is slightly more, but it's not as big a difference as it seems. And now that your witches are more expensive, you're taking fewer units of them. So you want the units you have to go further. Which is why I think you want one of them, i.e. a Blood Bride unit, to be the extra bit further.
Yeah.
Because you're still only now paying maybe 30 points. You're paying 30 points on top of a unit of witches to make them that much better. And I think you would still do that. Before you were paying 20 points, now you're paying 30.
Yeah.
I still think that's reasonable. Other quick changes in that section. Grotesques went down 5 points. Sure. 35 points down instead of 40. Cool. And Incubi went up 2 points. I think Incubi could have gone up by a full 5 each.
Yep,
and
agreed.
They'd still be...
And they'd still be taken.
Blenders.
Yeah. Yep. You still take them.
I think 2 points is good. I'll come back.
It's better than 0. Put it that way. Like it's better than not being touched. Like it had to be touched. Like 2 is better than nothing. 5 would be in the optimum. But yeah, hey, you take what you can get.
I think maybe 3 would have been optimum. But yeah, Kronos went up by 5. Talos went down by 10. Cool. Kronos are good. Talos are good. Talos are a bit better now. Kronos are still good.
I feel like the Kronos...
We're going to see more of them now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I feel like the Kronos was like a preemptive change.
Yeah.
Because they changed everything else and the way the rest of the FAQ went or the rest of the update went. They're like, Draco's now going to take heavily into covens.
Yep. So they just adjusted the coven points.
That's just my feeling of it.
I 100% agree with you on that, and I think they've done it quite well.
Yeah.
Ravagers went down by 10 points.
Which is weird.
This is interesting, because Raiders stay the same, but now you have to pay 10 points for Raider Dark Lances.
Oh.
Oh, what? No way, really?
Oh,
my shit! Alright. So everyone, you're going to be hearing just Locky and Lawrence, and that's going to sound very weird. Yeah, I'll do it. You'll edit back. Yeah. So, we've just had a little bit of a technical issue, and it turns out that Dalton's disk space is too full.
What's your last timestamp?
His...
Well, one for 10 minutes. 10 minutes.
Lawrence is saying stuff that obviously you guys are not going to be able to hear because... because Dalton cannot answer. So, yes. We've talked about this for a while now. It's a great update. We're all happy about it. We are going to be implementing all these changes in future battle reports. Everything after the next 2, we will notify you. Put it that way. We will notify you in the episodes that use certain updates, pending how... Because this was quite a surprise regarding the release of this. Obviously, this has affected a few of the armies in which that we have used in some battle reports recently. So, please keep that in mind. But we will make sure to implement these changes as soon as possible and to make sure that we are giving you the most updated content. So, thank you so much for listening.
All right.
Thank you, Lawrence, for being here.
My pleasure, bro.
We have a lot planned for Christmas.
Yes,
There's something happening. It's gonna be epic.
we
It's gonna
have.
be big. And there's gonna be a few new faces showing themselves on the channel. So, as always, like and subscribe and come join our Discord. And we're now producing battle reports back again and releasing them, and go and watch our videos and come join our community and help build our little Australian community as much as possible. And
Yes.
we will see you on the next one. Bye, everyone.
Bye.